Hey, Zio here, and it would seem that Epic can't buy them all. But yeah, Epic apparently can't buy them all, as the Epic Game Store keeps gobbling up all the exclusives possible. We could talk about the Epic's Game Store versus the Steam storefront another day. I did a video on it back when they announced that they were going to do this, and I believe in that video when I was talking about it, it would be a good thing, you know, having some competition for Steam and stuff. But when you got a storefront that doesn't do half of what Steam does, there's not really much on the way of competition, especially when you have the money like Epic to make it comparable to Steam and actually make it worthwhile. But that's another thing. That's another video for another time. But right now we're talking about the one developer, the one indie dev that Epic could not purchase for an exclusivity deal, but they sure did try. So we have an article written by, you know, the people, of course, because they wanted to tell their side of the story and to get it out there. So, why I turned down an exclusivity deal from the Epic Store developer of Darq. A bit of the background here. Let's just sort of get into it here. I'm an indie dev, just launched my first title, Darq. I worked on it for over 3.5 years, mostly solo, with occasional help from a few talented creators. It was in the top 50 most wishlist games on Steam before it launched, and to be honest, that's a pretty good thing. I mean, if you're going to be an indie dev, you're going to make your own game, and you're not going to have the backing of Activision or Ubisoft or, you know, Bethesda or anything like that, of course. You know, being in the top 50 is a pretty good spot to be in for a game that hasn't come out yet that people want to buy your game. So there's a lot of praise to go around for this developer. His game apparently garnered quite a bit of support, and I would be pretty proud of that myself if it was me, but I can't do game development as much as I would like to. I do have an idea for a game, an RPG, but that's another thing for something else. I can't do it, so what does it matter? But what happened on July 27th, Saturday, I uploaded a new trailer announcement Steam launch date. On July 30th, Tuesday, I was contacted by the Epic Store, proposing that I enter into an exclusivity arrangement with them instead of releasing Darq on Steam. They made it clear that they released Darq non-exclusively. It is not an option. I rejected their offer before we had a chance to talk about money. I will share screenshots, of course, of this communication. Alright, we'll go take a look at that if it's here. Why I rejected their offers. Before I get into this, I'd like to emphasize that I'm not speaking on behalf of other developers. Every indie studio has a unique story and has to deal with a unique set of obstacles. The following reasons are mine and mine only. Rejecting such offers happen to be right for my game, but might not be right for other game studios, as their goals and long-term plans might differ from mine. And of course, we're in the middle of a lot of game developers suddenly out of nowhere before the game launches going Epic exclusive, which, you know, we can talk on the subject of whether or not, you know, exclusivity deals on the PC are that big of a thing or whatnot, but it's still sort of a raw thing to have happen to you when you're in the middle of getting ready for a game to launch, and then it suddenly swaps platforms. Yeah, the next thing we look into is got to be soundproofing this room a little bit better. When somebody runs down the hallway, I can hear it. Anyway, I like money, and getting some upfront payment on top of guaranteed revenue sounds great. But although I am a first-time developer, I'm very serious about working in the industry for a very long time. I had just announced Darq release date on Steam. Pulling the game off Steam a few days after the Steam release date announcement would forever ruin the credibility of my studio. Which, you know what? This guy's got a good mind on his shoulder there, because it's happened several times now. I would like for my customers to have confidence that my words mean something, especially when making an announcement as crucial as a release date / platform. Turning down the Epic exclusive the offer might have been a foolish decision in the short term, considering the amount of money that might have been involved. When thinking long term, however, this was an easy and obvious decision to make in my case. Which honestly, I think dude definitely made the right decision. I mean, you've seen others do it, like Ooblets and stuff, just suddenly, oh, by the way, we're now going to be exclusively to Epic. I know we promised a Steam release. I know we promised this, but we're not going to do it now. And that really burns the customer. You can't tell the customer you're going to do something, then strip it away from them and say, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. It's going to be over here. And then go, well, it's not that big of a deal because you can access that from your PC regardless. And we're going to wind up going into the subject anyway, aren't we? But, you know, when it comes down to exclusivities on PC, honestly, it's not that big of a deal. It's Steam or Epic or whatever storefront you're buying from, the Blizzard storefront, the Bethesda storefront, because you really want that Fallout 76. I don't know. But, you know, it's just another, 700 and some megs. It's not that big of a deal if it's that at all. Of course, size-wise, I've never really looked at the size. So, it's just having another place where all your games are. Origin, there's another one. But people have their favorites too. And it's not like going from, say, PlayStation to Xbox exclusively or something, because that would be even worse. But at the same time, I can get the understanding, when you promise it's going to launch here, there, and everywhere, and then suddenly, oh, by the way, it's now Epic exclusive. That rubs your customers the wrong way, especially those who don't use Epic, won't use Epic for their own reasons, because they have reasons, and the one thing the customer wants most is choice. They want to be able to choose where they get it from, whether it's GOG or Steam or wherever. They want to be able to pick it from their favorite place, whatever their thing is. Personally, I prefer Steam, of course. I buy my things through Steam. That's where most of my library is, unless I absolutely positively have no other choice in the matter. It's the only way I would go elsewhere, because Steam has so much more to it through, having the ability to communicate people while playing a game and other stuff. Got your friends there. You can see what they're doing, hop into their games real easy and quick. You can see user reviews. You can see what you're actually getting into before you purchase that lemon. So you don't purchase that lemon. Well, say Epic has none of that. Has none of that stuff. And, it's really not that great of a storefront at all. But let's go back. Where were we? Oh my gosh. I forgot where we were. Darq was listed on Steam late 2018. A lot of Steam's users added Darq to their wish list and patiently waited for its release date for almost a year. Pulling the game off Steam, especially so close to the release date, would surely make a lot of Darq fans unhappy. Apart from the moral issues involved, would it be worth it if giving a large sum of money? Considering Amazon's history, the company remained unprofitable for many years, but always put their customers first. They had made many decisions in the past that were extremely pro-customer, even if it meant leaving money on the table, for which they get a lot of criticism from Wall Street. Now, Amazon is one of the biggest companies in the world, and it's because customers know Amazon will always be by their side. Their refund policy has always been the industry standard, and their delivery promise was always fulfilled to the best of their abilities. Which I make less money on Steam than. Will I make less money on Steam then? I would have by accepting the financial guarantee from the Epic Store. Probably, but it's fair price to pay for establishing an ongoing trust between a studio and its customers. Unfold Games, my studio, is here to stay, and Darq is just the beginning. And that's great. That's kind of what I was just getting at, to be totally honest. A lot of these gaming companies, some of them are super big right now, like Ubisoft and Activision and Bethesda and others, and they have a lot of cash. The fact that they're making increasingly worse games over time doesn't bother them as much because they're getting enough of a profit out of it through their stores, microtransactions, and other stuff that it's not really biting them in the butt that much yet, anyway. But of course, as people start rejecting this kind of culture that they've sort of decided to facilitate, they're selling less and less. They're having to make more excuses to the shareholders to why they're not expecting or getting those expectations of how much they were planning to sell and all this other stuff. And certain studios are starting to see that, and they're trying to turn around or whatever, or do something to make it look like they're not doing what they've been doing and stuff. And for a small studio, a startup that's just starting, it's definitely a big thing, is to build a trust and to always keep in mind, that this would be something that I would tell the developer of Darq here, to always keep in mind the customer. The customer may not always be right. Let's get that straight. I've worked customer service for a very long time, way back when. The customer is often wrong, all right? However, at the same time, when it comes to the customers, trying to, help the customer out, service the customer's needs and things like that is a top priority. It is a must. You can't sit there and tell the customer you're going to do X and then turn around and do Y. It doesn't work that way. You then get distrust in the customer base, which, you've seen happening with Activision Blizzard and Bethesda and other companies as of late this past year and stuff, where we're looking at companies that used to be beloved by a huge fan base. I'm talking a huge fan base, companies that even I myself would make excuses for. And I know it's got a lot of glitches, but it's a big world and they have a small team. Even granted, they don't have a small team anymore. And we've got mods and all this other stuff. We'll be fine. Great company. And then now look at them. A lot of these companies are essentially dumpster fires at this point at what's going on. You're seeing, CEOs, the last standing founder of the company stepping down and leaving the companies. And you're seeing others be leaving companies recently as well, which just not the company it used to be. The environment's not the environment it used to be. And I'm sorry, but when it comes to gaming, those corporatized people, you might survive for a bit, but when your entire customer base walks out the door, what are you going to do then? You've got nobody to sell to. Nobody's buying your game. Everybody left for something else because somebody else gave them what they wanted. And they've built trust with them, and you've lost all their trust, and you're going to be sitting there going, more transactions, more microtransactions, bigger storefront, and all this other. We need to push more and more and more. Not realizing that it doesn't matter how much you push out. If the customers aren't there to purchase it, you can only survive on 3 wells for so long until you're wishing you had those thousands upon millions of people back playing your game and doing stuff, because customers will support you. The gamers will support you, especially if you're doing right. They have no problem with paying a little extra to support your studio or whatever it is, if it's necessary or something, or just to give back. I mean, you got people out there who will just straight up donate to companies and other things that they like, just because they want to see it continue to do what it is. So, I like what, this guy is doing. He, as long as he doesn't, 5 years down the road turn his back on his customers, of course, then we could be sitting here talking about how, it started off good and then he turned his back on his customer. But only time will tell us that one. It was important to me to give players what they wanted, options. A lot of people requested that Darq is made available on GOG. I was happy to work with GOG to bring the game to their platform. I wish that Epic Store would allow indie games to be sold there non-exclusively, as they do with larger, still unreleased games, Cyberpunk 2077, so players can enjoy what they want, a choice. Exactly. I'm pretty sure that's what we were talking about throughout this entire thing. You know, options is a good thing. People want the options. And, having more options is great. And you can see, where a lot of your fan base is too that way. And, communication, definitely a big thing as well. And things like Cyberpunk 2077, Epic doesn't have any control over them, which is why they keep poaching indie games, because they're offering them a wad of cash for a guaranteed wad of cash to go exclusively. And meanwhile, you've got companies like CD Projekt Red and other stuff who can essentially tell exclusive, hey, F you, and give them the giant middle finger. We're releasing here, here, and here. Either you want a cut of that pie or you don't. Let us know, because then we won't release with you. So then they kind of have to do that, but they don't all have that. This is essentially, it feels like with this here, just seeing this, that Epic truly does try to poach the indie developer because they can. They have the money to do so in an attempt to drive up traffic on their site. So, yeah, make it what you will of that. But Ooblets. Yeah, Ooblets. I think I mentioned this a second ago. Consequently, the date after I rejected their offer, Ooblets developer announced that they had accepted the exclusivity deal from the Epic Store, which caused quite a lot of controversy. Yeah, tell me about it. At the time, I decided not to participate in the controversy, keep my stance on the Epic exclusivity deal to myself. However, I noticed that more and more people started asking me if I was about to do the same. Ultimately, I decided to mention that I had rejected the Epic exclusivity deal, so the community can rest assured that Darq is still coming to Steam and GOG. I was not going to turn it into a news story and did not contact press to attract attention to the matter. Unfortunately, we're going to find out, and everybody's going to talk about it because we think it's a great thing that you didn't take that exclusivity deal. But anyway, yeah, Ooblets did that, and I don't think it was as matter of the fact that they took the exclusivity deal that people really got upset with them. It was more of the manner of how they announced it, and was very condescending, and talked to their customer and their fan base about it, that really kind of drew the nail in the Ooblets coffin, if you will. But that's another thing. Anyway, but earlier today, now the numerous media outlets made my Epic deal rejection very public. I found myself tagged in a tweet addressed directly to Tom Sweeney. Congrats on GOG, more proof that a multi-store future is here. And rather than fragmenting the PC gaming community, GOG Galaxy efforts are working to bring it together, unite it with console communities too. You got CD Projekt here. 1/3 of the Cyberpunk 2077 PC digital pre-orders have been on GOG. And then, of course, you've got this guy here. If truly, why did you want Unfold Games to be an Epic exclusive, but then refused when his offer the game for both Steam and EGS? Needless to say, I never intended to become the face of the Epic Store exclusivity controversy, but since I'm tagged directly in a response to Tim Sweeney's tweet, I felt I should at least make my stance clear. I'm seriously a little scared to share the following screenshots, given that Tim Sweeney himself has infinite monetary power and connections in the industry to completely destroy me and my game, which I trust he won't be compelled to do. I'm just a first-time indie developer, after all. But here's my conversation with the Epic Store representative. It was a nice, polite, respectful, professional, but it also contrasts what Tim Sweeney seems to be advocating for. And then you've got the screenshots, of course. Thanks for getting back to us. To be clear, since we've pressed for time, we'll be interested in bringing the game exclusive to Epic Store. We ain't in the position yet to open the store up to games that censorship. In exchange for a year of exclusivity, we do negotiate some sort of minimum guaranteed based on the sale projection for year one. You would recoup against that guarantee, but it's a way to mitigate any sort of launch risk for you might have. Since you are launching soon, I want it to be upfront as possible about the opportunity. Happy to jump onto the video chat if you're interested, but wanted to be upfront as possible. The game looks great. I'd love to have it here. And then Unfold Gaming's reply. I appreciate the clarification. Sadly, exclusivity is not an option at this point. We're just announced Steam release date. Darq is now one of the most wishlisted titles on Steam, so exclusivity would severely cause a backlash. Hope we can work together in the future when exclusivity is no longer a requirement. Many thanks for your interest. And I wish there wasn't a double standard for indie game developers. We're given an equal opportunity to sell their games across multiple storefronts so the players can enjoy what they seem to want the most, a choice. And that's the end of the article right there. But I just have to say, congratulations. Seriously. The one indie developer that Epic could not steal. But, yeah, seriously, that's how they do it. They're like, hey, we got money for you. Guaranteed 1 year's worth. Come on over. And then, well, what's the indie dev to do? It really gets into this whole moral thing, I guess you can say, where, the indie dev sees the money and guaranteed to continue working, and stuff like that, or have to deal with maybe it will sell well, maybe it won't, just depends. Let's stay the ship or whatever. And it just really comes into a thing that only that person, those companies can really decide what's best for them, of course. I honestly think an exclusivity deal on PC is a bit on the asinine side. That's the whole point to being on PC. One of our favorite things about PC, the whole PC master race, is having things like choices, the ability to, use mods and other things like that, is why people have been driven to PC. Besides, better graphics and other stuff, there's more to it, of course. But, with Epic gobbling up all the indies as much as possible, it kind of wedges a nice little wedge into the PC gaming community, to where those exclusivities can sort of tear us apart sometimes. But anyway, Unfold Games, continue doing what you're doing. Hope you sell a lot, especially being in a top 50 of the most wanted wish list games for Steam right now. That's definitely great. And I'd say news like this will probably bring more people to your product and go, oh, well, maybe I should check this out. So I'm going to assume maybe you're higher up on that. I'm not sure if you've released yet or not, because I'm getting to this a little late. But anyway, that's about all I got for that. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Don't forget to do that whole like, comment, subscribe, share the video, all that good stuff. And we're live streaming a lot now, so come check that out. I will talk to you later. See ya.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment, smash that like button, and always subscribe for more. And of course, there are other videos floating around somewhere on the screen, so click one of those and see if you can find something that suits your fancy. Till then, I'll see you later. Bye.